I'm General Shenji, a seasoned warrior. After my rebellion failed, the emperor ordered the extermination of my entire clan. I told him I was an orphan, with no family to speak of, but he didn't believe me. He commanded the regent to scour the nation, to find and eliminate my clan, even if it meant turning the world upside down. What they discovered instead was that I was the former emperor's biological daughter, and he, the current emperor, was adopted. The throne was rightfully mine all along. Oh, I told you not to investigate, the regent sighed, but you just had to, didn't you? He then ordered, men, demote the fake emperor to a mere concubine. Turning to me, he added, I find the regent quite charming himself. Let's make him empress. The deposed emperor shrieked. Haha, he didn't spare you either. My name is Shinji. I was born the daughter of a courier, and my family made their living by transporting goods. After corrupt officials caused the death of my parents and brother, I took justice into my own hands, eliminating those responsible. With a small band of loyal followers, I retreated to the mountains and established our own stronghold. We started with just a dozen people, but gradually our numbers swelled, growing into a thriving village of over 1,000. The imperial court dispatched the crown prince to suppress us, but after a year of relentless fighting, he failed to defeat me. He offered me an amnesty, and so, I transformed from a mountain bandit into a formidable general. My former bandits became a disciplined army. When the Huns began to invade, the crown prince, now the newly crowned emperor, clutched my hand, tears streaming down his face. He pleaded with me to lead the charge against the invaders, to protect the great Yan Empire. He promised me the title of Duke, the position of Grand Marshal of all forces, £1,000,000 of gold, and 1,000 handsome men upon my victorious return. I wasn't particularly fond of money, power, or even handsome men. My motivation was pure loyalty and patriotism. The war raged for 5 long years. I utterly crushed the Huns, seizing countless spoils of war. Their various tribes were shattered and surrendered, pledging their allegiance. I fully expected to be rewarded, but instead, a eunuch arrived from the court, demanding I surrender all war spoils. Not only would my men be left to starve, but they also intended to strip me of my military authority. I surveyed the vast bounty, 1,000,000 head of cattle and sheep, 300,000 elite soldiers, and 100,000 Hun captives. This was practically an open invitation to rebel. So, I decided to do just that. My troops, fresh from victory, were at the peak of their morale. We had ample provisions and a powerful army. In short order, my 300,000 strong army captured dozens of cities, seizing control of more than half of the Great Yan territory. To my surprise, the emperor dispatched his uncle, Regent Xiaoduo, to negotiate a peace. The scoundrel resorted to a honey trap. Marshal Shen, please don't be angry, Xiaoduo began. His Majesty truly meant no harm. Let's discuss this calmly over a drink. His Majesty has promised to grant you anything you desire, so long as you cease this conflict and prevent further bloodshed and suffering. Regent Xiaoduo, a distant cousin of the Emperor Xiaoyan, wielded immense power and was renowned as the most handsome man in the capital. He arrived in a vibrant red robe, looking like a groom on his wedding day. His eyeliner extended to his temples, accentuating his captivating phoenix eyes. He exuded an aura of pure enchantment. With a delicate flick of his fan, a fragrant breeze wafted towards me. I let down my guard and fell for his trick, drinking a few too many cups. You're quite attractive, Regent, I slurred. If His Majesty had sent you earlier, those 10 envoys wouldn't have had to die. Indeed, before Xiaoduo, the emperor had sent 10 other envoys to negotiate, all of whom I had executed. Their demands were simply outrageous. The first envoy's terms infuriated me so much my head spun. He demanded I surrender my military power and return to face trial. Guards, I bellowed, take this envoy out and chop him down. Negotiations are for dogs. The envoy cried out, Marshal Shen, it's customary not to execute envoys during wartime. I've just rebelled, and haven't even established my own country yet. I retorted, next time, I'll consider it. The subsequent envoys brought increasingly favorable terms, but they were always presented with an air of condescending charity. It was laughable. I was the one who had defended this empire. Back when I had only 1,000 bandits, Xiaoyan couldn't defeat me, even with 10,000 elite soldiers. Now, with 300,000 troops under my command and the northern territories as my base, I wasn't about to listen to his nonsense. After a few more drinks, they say a full stomach leads to lustful thoughts. With such a handsome man before me, and my loyal subordinates guarding the tent, I thought, surely a little forceful seduction wouldn't be out of line? I was 15 when I became a bandit king, and now I was nearly 22. Was it too much to indulge myself just once? To my shock, that scoundrel Xiaoduo had drugged me. I had pinned him to the bed, even unbuckled his belt, and was just about to make my move when a sharp pain shot through my stomach. I rolled off him. Xiaoduo lay lazily on the bed, his eyes half closed, radiating an alluring charm. What did you give me to drink? I gritted my teeth. Xiaoduo leaned in, using his fan to lift my chin, and whispered 2 words to my lips, poison. I tried to force the poison out with my inner energy, but my meridians were blocked, leaving me in agonizing pain. Xiaoduo tapped my head with his fan. Don't bother, Marshal. This is my unique concoction. I advise against using your internal energy, or you'll not only lose your martial arts but also suffer a gruesome death from ruptured meridians. I spat blood. You're despicable. Xiaoduo's eyes gleamed with triumph. As they say, all's fair in love and war. Don't you understand that, Marshal Shen? I was filled with regret, but I was a tough woman who shed no tears. Though unwilling, I accepted my fate. Regent, if you wish to kill me, then do so, I declared, but don't forget, I have 10 loyal generals commanding forces in various strategic locations. If I die, your rebellion will multiply tenfold. Kill me. 10 rebellions are what the great Yen deserves. Regent, you are resourceful. I'm sure you can handle it. Before I could finish, Xiaoduo pulled me up and embraced me. What are you talking about, Marshal? He murmured. I've admired you for a long time. How could I harm you? I merely feared your strength and that you might impulsively injure me. I don't believe you, I said. Unless you kiss me. Xiaoduo and I were old acquaintances, having sparred before. When the current emperor was still the crown prince and couldn't defeat me, Xiaoduo was the general who took over. However, the former emperor fell gravely ill, and the crown prince was urgently recalled to oversee the regency, preventing our battle. It was Xiaoduo who proposed the amnesty, intending to stabilize the situation. We knew each other inside out. When I asked him to kiss me, we both felt that awkwardness of encountering an old acquaintance in an unexpected situation. Shenji, he began, I know you're getting on in years and lack a male companion in your tent, so you might be a bit eager, but we are both high-ranking officials. We must prioritize the greater good. If we were to have a relationship, His Majesty would never sleep soundly. Ignoring the pain in my abdomen, I dragged Xiaoduo beneath me and moved to kiss him. I was dying anyway. What was a kiss? What business was it of his? How about you give me the antidote, and we work together to conquer this empire? I suggested. Let Xiaoyan know who the real boss is. If not, you said you admired me, right? Come on. A glorious death beneath the peonies, a romantic ghost in the afterlife. With that, I tore open Xiaoduo's red robe. Although Xiaoduo was over 30, he had a captivating physique. His chest muscles were firm and strong, and his 8-pack abs were well-defined. Like corn cobs, they felt smooth and hard, quite pleasant to the touch. Xiaoduo, pinned beneath me, maintained a calm demeanor, but internally, a fierce struggle raged. His face cycled through 7 or 8 emotions in a second. He seemed to want to kill me, but also feared the consequences if I died, knowing my generals would be uncontrollable. Moreover, my martial prowess surpassed his, and if we truly fought, he might not win. But for him, a dignified imperial uncle and regent, to yield to a mountain bandit, a common rebel, was simply too much. I gnawed at him, muttering, "What do you know, big softy? Haven't you ever been touched by a woman?" He clenched his fists, enduring for a long moment before suddenly grabbing my hand. A hint of embarrassment colored his pale, handsome face. "Please, don't do this. I suddenly feel unwell." I reached up and pinched his nipple. "Unwell? This feels pretty good to me." Then I puckered my lips, leaning in for a kiss. "Enough talk, let's go." Xiaoduo's eyes squeezed shut, his butterfly-like lashes trembling. Just as our lips were about to meet, Xiaoduo slapped his hand against my face, pushing me away. "I'm sorry, I can't take this anymore. The truth is, I have a secret I cannot speak of. I have a preference for men." I stared at him for a moment, then an undeniable look of delight spread across my face. Damn, I liked him even more. He was willing to claim he was gay just to avoid me. Wouldn't it be okay if I indulged in a little perversion? That night, everyone in the military camp saw Regent Xiao Duo confidently enter my tent for negotiations. He then fled, disheveled and pale, with me, drunk and disoriented, chasing after him. The soldiers gossiped amongst themselves. Wow, our marshal's finally getting some good stuff, one exclaimed. Regent Xiao Duo is the most handsome man in the world. That brazen girl, eating so well, doesn't she care about her life? Another retorted, if the marshal's done, maybe she can share him with us sisters? You greedy hussy, daring to covet the marshal's man, aren't you afraid she'll slap you silly? Can't even think about it? Just go to sleep then. The army attacks tomorrow. Wonder if the marshal will be able to get up. That night, I never did kiss Xiao Duo. He claimed he was a respectable man who would never engage in casual promiscuity. He insisted that if I wanted to touch him, I would have to marry him, otherwise, it was off limits. But he also declared he didn't like overly assertive women, so after marriage, I would have to become a homemaker and raise children. How could I possibly marry him? I just wanted to sleep with him. I was a rebel, commanding 300,000 elite troops, destined to usurp the throne. How could I abandon the chance to become emperor for a mere man? I immediately released him. Go on, get out of here, I declared. I, Shinji, am a woman of integrity. I won't force a man to do anything. Xiao Duo hadn't expected me to let him go so easily. He first breathed a sigh of relief, then seemed to show a hint of disappointment. Indeed, in your eyes, I'm simply not as important as fame and fortune. I glanced at him. We're both cunning old foxes. Why are you playing games with me? I scoffed. Truth be told, I don't much care for men who are too ambitious either. Why don't you resign as regent right now and become my husband? I'll marry you tonight. Xiao Duo offered a wry smile. We exchanged knowing glances, both seeing the calculation in the other's eyes. The negotiations had failed. He escorted me out of my camp. My subordinates wouldn't let him pass. Release our marshal, they demanded. I waved them off. It's fine. Xiao Duo rode off with me to a desolate field, where his own men were waiting to meet him. Your Highness, one of his men greeted him. You've captured this rebel. Your Highness, now that she's in our hands, should we kill her? Xiao Duo waved his hand. No, if she dies, those 300,000 troops will be leaderless, and chaos will erupt throughout the land. Furthermore, the Huns have just been defeated. If they learn Shinji is dead, they will surely violate the treaty and return. I leaned lazily against Xiao Duo, addressing his men. Did you hear that? Your prince says you can't kill me. If I die, you'll all be screwed too. By the way, what benefits has that dog emperor given you that you're so stubbornly loyal? A wise bird chooses its tree, and a wise minister chooses his lord. I'm clearly a better choice than that Xiao Yan, aren't I? Hearing me casually refer to the emperor as a dog emperor, some of Xiao Duo's men bristled. Silence! How dare you use his majesty's name? You're a traitor and a rebel. Aren't you afraid of being infamous for eternity? I countered. History is written by the victors. As long as I win, I can write whatever I want. Then I'll write that the incompetent emperor was misled by treacherous villains. I, Shinji, for the sake of the people, bravely defied all odds. As the saying goes, if I don't go to hell, who will? For the sake of the common folk, I'm willing to bear the eternal infamy. Xiao Duo cast his gaze downwards. Treacherous villain? Are you insulting me? I certainly won't resort to beauty traps or other despicable tactics. I scoffed. As everyone knows, I, Shinji, am a woman of integrity, unlike you whiny little men. No. Before I could finish, Xiao Duo clapped his hand over my mouth. For reasons unknown, Xiao Duo did not take me back to the capital to the emperor. Instead, he took me to a manor and locked me in a dungeon. He chained me to a rack and personally interrogated me every day. Will you surrender, or not? He demanded. I teased him. Kiss me, and then we'll talk. Xiao Duo asked. A kiss will make you surrender? Not a chance, I declared. I'm a woman of integrity. I'll fight to the death before surrendering. Xiao Duo was practically driven mad by me. The desire to kill someone is hard to hide in one's eyes. I suspected that if looks could kill, he would have murdered me countless times. But I was still curious why Xiao Duo was so determined to make me surrender instead of simply killing me. Why don't you kill me? I asked. Could it be that you like me? How about you let me go? Once I conquer the capital and become emperor, I'll make you my royal consort. Xiao Duo twitched his lips, then looked at me. Thank you, but I'm fine. He then stormed off in a huff. Once I was alone, I whistled. Soon after, a fly landed on the dungeon window. I had been captured by Xiao Duo 3 days ago. Losing a commander on the battlefield would undoubtedly shake morale. It was time to find a way back. Still, I regretted not having been able to bring Xiao Duo over to my side. After all, Xiao Duo was skilled in both military and civil arts, and quite attractive. He'd probably be good in bed too. It was just a shame I couldn't persuade him, and he couldn't persuade me. As they say, those who walk different paths cannot plan together, so we had no choice but to part ways. However, before I left, I swiped a pair of his red underwear as a keepsake of our longing. My subordinates, guided by the fly, quickly located the manor where I was imprisoned. Xiao Duo's men were mostly wiped out, and Xiao Duo himself, slightly wounded, managed to escape. As Xiao Duo fled, my deputy, Lu Shuer, asked me, "Marshal, how were your negotiations with the regent these past few days? Were they pleasurable?" I chewed on a foxtail, glancing at him. Pleasurable? Not a chance. Lu Shuer's face showed a hint of disappointment. Didn't work out? 3 days and nothing? Marshal, you're not trying hard enough. So, are we still fighting this war? Yes, we're fighting now, I declared. Before Xiao Duo even realizes what's happened, I'll personally lead 10,000 elite cavalry to launch a surprise attack on the capital. You, along with Qin Zhao, Song Yan, and Zhao Taizhu, will divide your forces into 3 routes to cut off their reinforcements. Then, rendezvous with me in the capital by midnight. Any disobedience will be met with execution. Lu Shuer's face showed a hint of concern. What about the poison, Marshal? The poison is minor, I replied. My internal energy is strong. 3 days are enough to force most of it out. The rest won't hinder me. Lu Shuer's expression became serious. Yes, Marshal, your subordinate obeys. Xiao Duo probably never dreamed that as soon as he left, I would mobilize my army. The capital was only a few hundred miles away. We set out at night, embarking on a 1,000-mile forced march, and arrived at the city gates by noon. Marshal Shen's order, open the city gates immediately. The messenger's voice boomed across the sky. Surrender, and you shall not be harmed. The mere few hundred guards at the city gate froze in terror at the sight of my 10,000 cavalry. They quickly opened the gates. My 10,000 elite horsemen surged into the capital, and soon, the Xinji banner fluttered throughout the city. Not long after, we were feasting in the capital's finest restaurant. The news of my rebellion had spread throughout the land. At first, the common folk worried constantly that I would attack, but after waiting and waiting, and no attack came, they grew somewhat complacent. This time, seeing my actual presence, they shrieked and scattered in terror. King Shen is here, run! I heard King Shen loves to eat tender young children. Some timid children were so frightened they simply squatted on the ground, unable to move. Father, mother, a scholar, disregarding his own safety, rushed towards me. Shenji, you traitor, everyone should kill you. Before he could reach me, I struck him with my long spear, sending him flying back dozens of feet. I sat high in the building, holding my rice bowl, and gave the citizens below a wicked smile. I uttered a single, dismissive word, scram. The citizens paused, then let out piercing screams and scattered. As most of them had fled, a general beside me, still shoveling rice, asked, Marshal, what's next? Send word, I commanded. The entire army will rest briefly, but not disturb the city. Take 1,000 troops and follow me directly to the imperial palace. The rest will blockade all city gates. No one is allowed to leave. Although I had reached the capital before Xiao Duo, I had no idea when he would react. That man was like a fox, full of cunning schemes. I had to be vigilant. In the imperial palace, the Emperor Xiaoyan had been tossing and turning, anxiously awaiting news of the regent's negotiations. To his dismay, my arrival preceded the regent's letter. Upon hearing the news, he had no choice but to evacuate the palace with his loyalists. When I intercepted him in the secret tunnel, he was completely stunned. Shenji, I reached out and pulled him from the secret tunnel, then patted his cheek. Well, if it isn't you, he, feeling utterly humiliated, erupted in curses. Shenji, you treacherous rebel, you'll die a miserable death. I'll exterminate your entire clan and have you dismembered. However, he became so agitated that he choked on his own saliva, erupting into a violent cough. Xiaoyan and I were the same age, and he was quite handsome. When he came to suppress my bandits years ago, I even considered abducting him to be my mountain husband. But then I saw the even more attractive Xiao Duo and changed my mind before I could even make my move on Xiaoyan. Now, with me as the rebel and him as the fleeing emperor, our roles were reversed, and it was surprisingly exhilarating. Watching Xiaoyan's face turn crimson from choking, I couldn't help but laugh. I don't have a clan, I taunted. How about you be it? Xiaoyan gasped in horror, quickly covering his chest and stumbling back 2 steps. I scoffed. Look at you. I didn't even want to rebel, but who knew you'd be so untrustworthy? You want the horse to run but refuse to feed it. I fought on the battlefield for you, and you play the threat to the throne card, abandoning your loyal general when she's no longer useful. Is that it? Xiaoyan cried in frustration. What kind of grand marshal acts like you? What kind of emperor acts like me? Shinji, I'm telling you, kill me if you want, but when the imperial uncle returns, he won't let you get away with this. Hearing Xiaoyan mention Xiao Duo, I curled my lips into an ambiguous smile. Right in front of him, I pulled out a pair of large, red silk underwear from my pocket. Are you talking about Xiao Duo? I purred. Then His Majesty might be disappointed. I then tossed the underwear onto Xiaoyan's face. Xiaoyan, not knowing what it was, furiously cursed me. Shinji, what are you doing? He pulled the underwear from his face, first looking shocked, then a desperate rage flickered in his eyes. This scent, it's the imperial uncle's usual fragrance. And yes, only the imperial uncle would wear such brightly colored underwear. Shinji, what have you done to the imperial uncle? I didn't answer directly. Instead, I licked my canine tooth and calmly said, guess. Xiaoyan froze for a moment, then became agitated. I knew it. I always knew the imperial uncle would betray me. You too, you vile pair. I reached out and pinched his cheek. Why such foul language? While I admit that part of what you said is true, it was widely known that Xiaoyan, as emperor, lacked competence. Otherwise, the former emperor wouldn't have appointed Xiao Duo as regent. In the eyes of the court officials, the regent's status far surpassed that of the emperor. Hearing me openly admit my relationship with Xiao Duo, everyone felt as if the sky had fallen. The regent had also defected. No one would come to save them now. Was this truly the end of the great Yan? It was all over. An elderly minister, who looked about 70, indignantly shouted at me, Demonis, you wish. I would rather die than submit to you. I was exasperated. I've told you before, ministers over 50 should retire and make way for the young. What good are all these withered old men in court? Their brains are clearly addled. Hearing me call him a withered old man, the elder was so enraged he wanted to commit suicide. Believing death was preferable to dishonor, he moved to bash his head against the wall. Xiaoyan, weeping beside him, desperately held him back. Grand Tutor, no, don't abandon me. Then, a large group of palace maids, eunuchs, and officials burst into tears. I had been exhausted from a night of fighting and was looking for a place to sleep. The constant weeping and clamor of the crowd immediately gave me a headache. Stop shouting. They seemed not to hear me. In a fit of anger, I dismounted and delivered a powerful slap to Xiaoyan's face. I told you to stop shouting. Are you deaf? The old Grand Tutor, seeing his emperor struck by me, rushed forward, eager to hit me. How dare you strike our emperor? I raised my hand and slapped him too. You felt left out, did you? It's no trouble at all. Then, with a command, I ordered them all taken away. I'm tired. I'm going to find somewhere to sleep first. I had Xiaoyan and the officials I'd pulled from the secret tunnel imprisoned in the imperial dungeon. The palace maids and eunuchs were also apprehended and sent to the military camp to cook. The imperial chefs were the busiest, with 10,000 soldiers to feed. Their spatulas were practically smoking. I hugged my long spear and fell asleep on the dragon throne in the Hall of Supreme Harmony. I don't know how long I slept, but vaguely, I felt a slight disturbance in the air beside me. Opening my eyes, I saw Xiao Duo, who had apparently descended from the rafters, standing before me with a long sword. Behind him were a dozen or so black-clad assassins, each armed with a sharp blade, surrounding me on the dragon throne. Seeing my eyes open, Xiao Duo looked at me with a complicated expression. You're awake. How does the dragon throne feel? He seemed furious, likely because I had broken the rules of engagement, claiming I wanted to sleep with him last night, then usurping his country the next day. I stretched. It's all right. Not terribly comfortable. With that, I beckoned to Xiao Duo. Want to try sitting on it yourself? Xiao Duo's face flushed with anger. Shinji, You can still stop now. Don't make a grave mistake you'll regret forever. You were a peerless general. Must you bear the infamy of a treacherous rebel for all eternity? I laughed. In your position, you act accordingly. With 300,000 troops under my command and the Hun tribe subservient to me, possessing such talent, I simply must rebel. I once wished to be a loyal minister and a good general, but my strength simply wouldn't allow it. I was once just a humble courier, wanting nothing more than to live peacefully with my parents and brother, never to be separated. When I was 15, corrupt officials murdered my family. I continued. I had no choice but to become a bandit, aiming only to punish evil and eliminate all corrupt officials. Later, the court granted me amnesty, and you sent me to war. I thought attaining high office and wealth would be good, but you proved to be untrustworthy, a dignified emperor, going back on his word. That's when I realized there's no such thing as justice in this world. Whoever has the strongest fist makes the rules. Loyalty and patriotism? Those are just fabrications concocted by you rulers to fool your subjects. What rule states that the throne must belong to the Shao family? If that were true, would dynasties ever change? The victor becomes king, the vanquished becomes a bandit. You lost, so stop whining and get on your knees and be my dog. Shao Duo stared at me coldly, a flicker of chill in his eyes. Shinji, I truly didn't want to kill you, but our paths diverge. For the sake of the people, I must eliminate you, this villain. Today, I sat composedly on the dragon throne, completely unfazed by Shao Duo and his dozen assassins. I raised a finger towards Shao Duo. Fine. You noble-born always have so many high-sounding excuses. When you can't win, you resort to personal attacks. Go outside and see for yourself. Do the people support your Shao family more, or do they revere me, a Shen? With that, I leveled my silver dragon spear, its tassel swaying gently. Come at me.